From the center of the Americas to you, wherever you are, this is the end of days. Hello, exiles, and welcome home. I'm coming at you on a Thursday. Today marks the 248th anniversary of the independence of the USI, once known as the United States of America. You have to wonder how many more she's going to have. The world in which we find ourselves, the water in which we swim, is for the most part all that is known. The reason is simple.
Because democracy basically means government by the people, of the people, for the people. But the people are retarded.
One of the big problems human beings have is that their memories are as short as their lifespans. We don't have to get into average lifespan. We know all about the averages, though the average is coming down, mostly due to environmental factors, such as the fact that what you eat and breathe is poison, the water supply in most places is poisoned, and the education you're spoon-fed is also poison. But be that as it may, some are sleeping through this and some are waking up, and those who've awakened can look forward to being arrested and thrown into a concentration camp, or if lucky, just gunned down in the street. The perpetually somnambulant, on the other hand, may look forward to a life in a 15-minute city, which is, after all, just another type of concentration camp. That of subsistence and living in a permanent state of slavery. It's been a high horse to fall from, yet that is an apt metaphor. We find anymore that our lives have devolved into a farce, a dangerous one to be sure. It is as though the Matrix has glitched and we entered a world, a level of the game that we thought shouldn't exist. So we've had to come up with a name for this level, and it seems we've landed on Clown World. It has occurred to me that some may find this preposterous or at a minimum tongue-in-cheek. I assure you, Clown World is real. You're living it, and the consequences may be dire. In order to help you to better understand this, or rather how this has evolved into the state of things it has become, it may be useful to refer to historical examples and note how one begets another until we get to the fully diluted, devolved and demented coordinates we find ourselves in today. It all started out innocently enough. World War II had just ended. America had won the war, but a lot of questions hung in the air economically. After the seriousness of murdering several millions of people on the battlefield, America was ready to laugh again, and Bozo the Clown was born. Bozo was a goofy son-of-a-bitch. He didn't come off all or stabby or anything like that, so the country really seemed to take to him. He had a show on TV, and we used to watch him on WGN, which was also the home of the Cubs, the Chicago Cubs. Well, there must have been, other clowns out there somewhere. For nearly 20 years, Bozo held the reins. It wasn't until 1963 that a cat named Ronald McDonald appeared. And he was intent on selling the nation hamburgers. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to McDonald's. It's a burger joint, and they have a few of them around the country. They even have a drive-through window so you can get your Happy Meal all the faster. But back before they started putting the parts of children into their patties, they hired Ron to clown around for them. So, the kids would want to eat their vile filth. And it got so that the kids back in the day would veritably beg their parents to take them to Mickey D's. But no matter how much through the years old Ronald would degrade and deprave the quality of his foodstuffs, it would seem even he could not match that of our most famous American clown. Next one up is a real doozy. It was a decade following that tricky Dick forever cursed the U.S. dollar, finally and once and for all, making it into fiat, a worthless facsimile of real money. It's enough to make a guy crazy, and one guy went absolutamente Looney Tunes. His name was John Wayne, of course, not to be confused with the Duke. Gacy was a prevert of great magnitude. He liked his boys young, and when he was all finished, he chopped them up into pieces and buried them in the basement. At least 33 of them, it is said. Come to think of it, that 33 is a pretty funny number. Where have I heard that before? Well, Gacy was known as Pogo the Clown, and also, oddly enough, the Killer Clown. The state executed him in 1994, a very good year on almost any measure. As we plot the devolution of the USI in clown terms, we are moving from an age of relative innocence to greater degrees of bloodshed, buffoonery, and bestiality. While, to my knowledge, not a murderer, Herschel Schmeichel Pincus Joachim Krastofsky, or just Krusty, well, this clown definitely engaged all the trappings one would expect from a type who applies makeup and whose gig is to act the fool. As a chain-smoking alcoholic drug addict, Krusty bounded into the hearts of Americans across the land at the end of the 1980s into the 1990s. He was the first clown to fully represent the common man. People could relate to Krusty. There was a little bit of each of us in Krusty, you might say, especially the cynical alcoholic part, because by this time the USI, though unknown to its populace, was already gearing up for war, setting the stage for a complete takeover and annihilation. And that's the time we're living in now. Krusty was kind of a bridge. Now, I don't want anyone to think our clown list here is exhaustive. Surely there are many others that we've overlooked. The ultimate clown, a contemporary and a self-proclaimed public servant, is really representative of an entire class, despite not having any. What's remarkable about this last one is that she proves clowns today can do anything, even get elected to the highest offices in the land. For the past nearly 4 years, the USI has been savaged by not one but two public clowns occupying the very pinnacle of government office. These two are literally so brain dead, though for different reasons, they make a potato come across as reasonable and bright. If the goal is to demoralize and make us ashamed, and it is, then one must commend them for doing such a thorough job. The people they prop up as America's doormen, the prez and vice prez, are so pathetic that it's utterly fatuous enterprise to bother even making jokes. It's like having hired a clown to be funny at your mother-in-law's funeral, only to find out you actually hired the insane clown posse. And now they're running wild, banging cocktail waitresses, doing blow in the Oval Office, booking numbers on the games they've already fixed, planning hit jobs on foreign dignitaries, eating ice cream, paying off defense contractors, and taking dumps in the Rose Garden. This is all the culmination of a game of Risk.
Risk. Risk. Win the game, and you win the world. Parker Brothers kind of fun.
The apogee of a great steaming pile of turds at the bottom of a Porto sand latrine that's been sitting in the sun too long. Oh, America, I've watched you fail over and over again. I am the last pre-digital generation. Interestingly, right, my grandfather was born more than 100 years ago, the very year marking the beginning of a long and torturous denouement of a once great and proud nation. He is presumably doing cartwheels in his grave. In his youth, he sold newspapers on the street, back when the media held some semblance of respectability. He saw the world change, went to war, and the big one, never suspected it was all a red herring, the full of it, life, his country, all of it, that it was a plot, a scam, a tragic comedy. He didn't know as a young man that Bozo the Clown was a precursor, a trial balloon, a psyop, a two-step down the primrose path to oblivion. If he could see his country today, the cartwheels would morph into full-on fucking trapeze act beneath the firmament of the big top. He'd be riding a unicycle across a tightrope, throwing candy corn to the clown show on the floor below. You see, I'm just seasoned enough to remember a time when it was possible to believe that everything was going to be all right. It's a damn shame what the world's gotten to for people like me and people like you. I wish I could just wake up and it not be true, but it is. Oh, it is. Want to know what you think? Want to know what you do, and they don't think you know, but I know that you do. Buckle up, kiddies. You've entered the banana zone. Forget about barbarians at the gate. There are clowns in the waiting room and the Oval Office. This is your final descent. It's a terminal decline. You may get a reprieve. You may find yourself standing in a shaft of light. But be not deceived. There is only one way out. Vaya con Dios. Where do we go from here? So much to talk about. God helps those who help themselves. So whatever you do, work at it with all your heart. Be mindful, be helpful unto others, for there is salvation, and that salvation may be your own, and you not even know it. CB wanted me to mention, thanks for listening. If you like this content, please consider liking and subscribing. It really helps.
Adios, and thanks for all the fish.